Welcome back, college baseball fans. This is the College Baseball Show weekend preview show here, brought to you by Just Baseball Media. I'm your host, Mark Garland, as I am every single week here and every single episode. Soon to be joining us will be Zach Symm. He's coming in. He's just running a little late, but he'll be here in a minute. We're going to get going right away here as we got an hour here to talk baseball with you guys. Very excited for this upcoming set, but let's talk about the games that have already happened in midweek madness so far. Been a wild week, man. Uh, Grand Canyon takes down BYU 10-3 to start that one here. Stanford gets its much-needed midweek win, as we know that they are going to need some big midweek wins. They're going to have to win every midweek, and then I think that they're going to have to go 7-2, 6-3 to somehow make the tournament. But Stanford's been hot as of late, taking 3 straight from Florida State last weekend. They do the same. They win at home against UC Davis, which was a big win for them. Let's talk about Tuesday night. Tuesday had some great games, some big matchups, some top 25 matchups. Coastal Carolina at UNC. We've been talking ad nauseum about how much it is struggling on the Coastal offense. No longer. Can't really say that anymore. This team's been getting hot. They've been going the right direction. All of a sudden, you're looking at a Coastal team that wins this game 12-2 and is in dominant fashion looking at ahead in the Sun Belt right now, 4 games ahead of everybody in that conference right now. I really believe that Coastal is playing their way into a seed. They're going to host, and whether they become a national seed is still yet to tell. I think there's still a long way to go on that. I think that we still have a lot more information still coming out, seeing if that offense gets going or not. But right now, it is everything that we're looking at is all Coastal. Coastal offense going. They get Cam Fluke back, who threw a couple innings on Sunday. If he gets going before tournament time, this is going to be a very, very dangerous team. If they can keep the offense rolling, I mean, it's going to be very, very good. We know what the pitching is. Ross Norman's been better, and all of a sudden you're going to get Cam Fluke back. This team becomes very, very dangerous come postseason if he gets to 100% strength. Even if he gets to throwing 6-7 innings, all of a sudden this is a very, very good Coastal baseball team. Cannot wait for that one there. Ole Miss at Mississippi State. This was a big one here, in-state rivalry. They play. Ole Miss loses 3-7 at Mississippi State. Big win for Mississippi State at home. They needed this win. They kind of need to get going again. I like the direction Mississippi State's heading. I think that they are a top 8 team. I think they're right on the cusp right now of being a top 8 seed. I still think that Ole Miss hosts. I still think that Ole Miss is a very good baseball team. I think that they're a host team. I think that they play their way into being that host conversation. Whether that's going to be 14, 15, or 16, I think that they're still going to be really, really good on that edge there. Welcome in, Zach. Told them you were coming.
How's it going, y'all?
Good, man. Was just talking about Ole Miss at Mississippi State. Big win for Mississippi State, but I still think both these teams are hosting. I think that Mississippi State is really close to being a national seed. I mean, I believe that they're right on that edge. Sweeping Ole Miss is huge for them because, again, I think that Ole Miss is a host team, and Mississippi State took care of business. It's a big win for them, especially even on a Tuesday. I know we don't put a lot of stock in these, but just to be able to beat your in-state rival, go 4-0 against them, and at this point in the season when you're still trying to build RPI, I think it's big for Mississippi State.
Yeah, absolutely. Mississippi State's, it seems like a team that no one believes in a lot still, which is a little crazy. But
they're going to get McPherson back.
They get McPherson back very soon. Yeah. And if you're thinking, hey, look, we're going to roll into a regional or maybe even the SEC tournament and we'll have McPherson out there. It's like, okay, this team takes on a little bit longer in the rotation. And yeah, that's a scary thought.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is all the bullpen arms have now gotten valuable experience. Jack Bauer looks like the ace that we thought he could be out of the bullpen. So they've got this guy throwing 100 miles an hour from the left-hand side for Jack Bauer. And now you're going to get McPherson back. The pitching staff's there. The offense is there. I don't have a lot of concerns about this Mississippi State team. Okay, McPherson, Scott, he's throwing 100% right now, Spencer. What they're saying is that they don't know when they're going to get him back live facing batters. They've been facing live batters at home in their ballpark, in their bullpen. I think that's very soon. I don't know if they're going to push him up to this weekend. I think that they probably sit him another week just to make sure.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if it's not to the last week of the season or next week that we see him kind of get just a couple innings and go out there. Kind of the same thing we just saw from Cam Fluke. Just go out there, get him 40, 50 pitches, take him out, put him in a successful situation. Maybe they throw him on a Sunday here in 2 weeks and all of a sudden, 2 innings there, 4 innings the next week. And then by the time you're talking about SEC tournament, he could probably go 6-7 for you. But they're not in any rush. Like they just want to make sure he gets to 100% because if they get him back all of a sudden this is an Omaha team. So yeah, very, very excited for that one. Big time there. When was the last time Ole Miss beat Miss State? It's been a while. This Mississippi State team has been dominant for a little bit here now. I still love the in-state rival. Like I said, I still think both these teams are hosts. Kansas 14 at Wichita State. Zach, massive for Kansas. Kansas is going. I really like this Kansas team. I know that I told you about, like we talked about this 6 weeks ago, and I've only gotten hotter on this team. They're just getting better. They're going to be a national seed if they keep playing like this.
Yeah, they certainly have played themselves into that contention for sure. And it's interesting. I mean, they've won 10 out of their last 11 now. There's probably not a hotter team in the nation than they are. And it'll be interesting to see how they finish up, because you don't want them to get too hot and then hit that Big 12 tournament and then go cold or, something silly. But you really got to like what that group of JUCO kids has done under Fitzgerald for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, and hats off to John Coyle, like going out there and going and recruiting this batch and finding the right guys that are going to fit the system that Fitzgerald wants. Like, wow, these guys, they love each other. They want to play baseball. They all are grinders. It's not like you go out there and find a single guy that's been like pampered in these D1 fallouts. These are all D2, D3, JUCO dudes that are grinders and want to be good at baseball. They've got them. And now this team is really, really good, and they're showing it. They had their struggles early. They've gotten through all that. And if the pitching holds up, the sky's the limit for this Kansas team, because the offense is just going. Like I said on the Monday show, their lowest batting average in league right now is 295. And that's some qualified hitters. So that's insane. And they're just tearing the cover off the ball with the 89 extra base hits and 45 home runs. That's crazy through 21 games. So looking forward to seeing Kansas this weekend again, taking care of business. We'll talk about those when we get into the weekend series. Kansas State at Nebraska. Nebraska wins this one 7-6. I think we think that Nebraska is a host team. They're playing their way towards that conversation, which is almost like, man, do we get 3 or 4 Big Ten hosts now? It's like getting really close to that conversation time. I think that either USC or Oregon drop out eventually, because they play each other still, and they play each other the last week of the season. So that might determine which one kind of drops out or who really struggles in the Big Ten tournament. Nebraska's firmly in my latest projection. I have them in at 13. I think that they're a solid team. I think that they have done all the right things. Kansas State, on the other hand, they're going the wrong direction, Zach.
Yeah, they're playing themselves out of the tournament right now. Their RPI is going up. And that's not what you want to see, because I do think they're a talented squad. It just feels like they've kind of fallen apart a little bit the last couple of weeks and weekends. And they really needed that win against Nebraska for RPI, but they have to finish strong. It's going to be incumbent upon them to finish really, really strong.
Yeah, they just keep dropping games, and it's like the bullpen can't hang on to games, or they can't stay in these games, and the pitching's just not enough. They've been able to hit all year. There's no doubt that this team can hit. The problem is that the offense can't carry them right now, and the pitching is just not doing enough. So I think that's been the toughest spot for them, is just saying, hey, they just don't have it right now on the pitching side. Speaking of pitching side, Tulane took care of business against Southern Miss at home. Big win for Tulane. They are not out of the American. They're still sitting there. It's a very competitive conference right now. The pitching hasn't been exactly what we thought it would be from Tulane this year. We thought all these transfers in and everybody they had, like Jay's a great coach down there. And Southern Miss, good team, but a tough road loss here for Southern Miss is they're going to drop a little bit in the RPI. They're getting closer to the bubble of hosting on the bubble out, I think, Zach.
I don't know. They're still 6-6 against quad 1 teams. They've got the number 1 non-conference RPI, and they're still at 9.
9. Yeah.
So I think they're still in there. It's just they're probably going to get looked at and go, well, you didn't have to play, Coastal during the conference season. You didn't have to play this. And so in some ways, they're kind of relying upon their non-conference schedule, which is impressive in itself. But they certainly need to put together a couple of strong weekends and really solidify themselves in there.
My big concern is that if they don't sweep 2 of the next 3 weekends, that's going to kill their RPI. It's going to hurt their RPI. Yeah. They may not be in the top 16 anymore. And then you're going, do you really want 2 Sun Belt hosts? Because I think it's either going to be Coastal or Southern. And I think that Coastal has a better resume right now and is playing better baseball.
For sure.
Do I think that both could host? Yes. Do I think one might be, 15 or 16? Possibly, like last year where the Pete hosted down there at 16. But I mean, honestly, I think that there's other teams that should host, like a Nebraska, Kansas, is those teams I think should be in right now. Now, there's a little bit of dilution there near the top of the SEC, so maybe some of those middle-range SEC teams don't host this year, but I still think that this is the conversation that we need to be having over the next few weeks.
Yeah.
UCLA crushes UCSB. I don't know if that was just like a get back for the loss that they had when they lost the streak.
Yeah.
But 15 runs, the offense showed up, but there was no shutout happening today. Big offense there. Rock Chalowski showing why he's the number one pick. People have been questioning if he's going to be the number one pick. Zach, I don't have any questions at all. This guy's the best defensive shortstop. He's the most consistent bat to ball. He's got pop, 5-tool player. Like, I don't know what else you want from the guy.
Yeah, I saw online someone was like, well, if the White Sox won him, I'm like, yes, the White Sox absolutely won him and will take him with number one pick. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. There's a reason
they've been playing Colson Montgomery at third base because they're like, hey, this is what's coming. We have a shortstop coming.
The shortstop is coming. But I also did think this was kind of like a sneaky big win for them because they finish up with Michigan State, Loyola Marymount, Oregon, and Washington. And so, if they were to go on the road, or they host Oregon. So if they were to drop a series against Oregon, by getting another top 50 win, it just kind of helps solidify that, yes, they're the number one. They're going to be the number one. There's really nothing that's going to shake that tree. So,
yeah, I big questions here is whether they can sweep Oregon at home. I think that's going to be the next test. I don't think that really Michigan State tests them, even though I got my Michigan State hat here. It's not really a test for these guys right now. Michigan State doesn't have zero right now. They don't have the pitching. Like, it's not going to scare them. But I think that Oregon series at home is going to be a big test. And then even Washington on the road, because they may be, if they sweep Oregon, all of a sudden they're looking at sweeping the conference. Gets a little bit more pressure there. I will be up there in Seattle for that weekend, so I'm very excited for that one. But man,
and you know that Eddie will have the boys ready to play up there. And
Washington has been playing good baseball. They've had some really just bad breaks. I mean, honestly, you look at their season, it's like just been some guys have gone down with injury. They've lost some arms. Guys have come back. When they've been healthy, they're really good. And Jackson Hotchkiss might be one of the best hitters in the country right now. He's at least one of the best in the Big Ten. If it wasn't for Rock Chalowski, you'd be talking a lot more about this Jackson Hotchkiss up there at Washington. But it's a good team. I'm excited for it. Again, Oregon's a good team also, so I think there's still some testers coming for UCLA, so I'm excited for that. But I think that they could get to 50 wins. Let's see here. UT Rio Grande playing at Oregon State today also. Oregon State won that one 4-2. Big win for Oregon State. They kind of just have to win these games. I mean, they got to figure out – they don't play anybody in the top 100 RPI the rest of the way. To be considered a national seed, it's going to take other teams, I think, to lose and for them to continue winning. I think that's what you have to look at as the outright thing. To me right now, they're in that 9 to 12 range. Honestly, I think that that's probably where they're going to end up just because their RPI is going to continue to drop. Now they did bump 2 games because the teams ahead of them lost, like Southern Miss. So all of a sudden now they're back in that top 8 and you're like, okay, if they continue to win, they could, but they have to win all these games. I don't see a way where if they drop a couple of these games, like they could maybe drop 1. If they drop a 2, it's going to be really hard for me to say that this team is not going to be a national seed. So
the thing that gets me about their schedule and their overall, and I know it's tough because they're independent, but they're only 2-2 against quad 1 teams. That means you have 4 chances and you've gone 500. Like that's not a great looking metric overall. I think that's going to hurt them when they go and, if they get compared to a Southern Miss for that 8th, national seed, they're going to go, well, yeah, they're good, but are they the top 8 good based on who they've played? I think that's going to come into a factor.
Yeah, that was when I was looking through it this week. I'm like, okay, is it Coastal? Do I take a Coastal who played a much better non-con and played better? Or do I take an Oregon State who I think is better overall? I think that they have more pitching. I had to lean Coastal. I mean, that's just the direction I think I had to go right now. And I think that's going to be what's on the voters' minds too a lot when they place these things out. But we'll see. If the RPI kicks up and they stay in top 8 RPI, it may be hard to hold them out of a national seed again, just because they might have a ton of wins. They might be single-digit losses. It's going to say, okay, well, they did what they're supposed to as an independent schedule again, just like they did last year. Let's talk about the Sam Houston at Texas game. Sam Houston 14, Texas 15, like back and forth. Tenney walks it off with a big boy bomb, 460 feet. Yeah, absolutely mashed. Like, if you get Aiden Robbins and Carson Tenney going, all of a sudden this Texas team is very, very scary. We know what they have on the mound. I don't have any worries. Like, I know Ruger's been struggling a little bit lately. Luke Harrison's been good. Vlantis is great. They have enough bullpen arms. If the offense gets going, this is an Omaha team.
Yeah, the thing that I keep going back to is, Ethan Mendoza, who was the leadoff man for the vast majority of the season. All of a sudden he's back and he looks really good at the plate. And so if you have a guy that has been your leadoff man hitting 6th or 5th or 6th, somewhere in there, that lineup starts getting a lot longer. Adrian Rodriguez is healthy again. He's not 100%, but he's hitting the ball much harder, no pain. And then Casey Borba, who, he couldn't miss hitting a home run a month ago. and then he went to this dry spell, and now all of a sudden he's back. It's like, okay, like this starts to become an offense that you don't want to see anymore, and they start going really long. And I think they're headed in the right direction. I think they still have some pieces to work out, but yeah, things are trending upwards.
You get a Borba and a Becerra hitting 7-8, all of a sudden you're like, God, this lineup is deep now that they get going. You don't want to face it. It's not so much fun as it was a couple weeks ago. You're like, okay, it's a little thin on the lineup. Now A-Rod back, Mendoza, like all of a sudden these pieces are there. It's really scary with a lot of experience too. These guys have a lot of postseason experience. They have a lot of game experience. This team's just going to keep getting better. I'm excited for them. Seeing Tinney get going too with the power numbers. Like he was hitting the ball hard all year. He just wasn't getting elevation. Now the ball's leaving the ballpark. It's very scary. I think that this team's very good. USC gets beat at UC Irvine. UC Irvine is not the UC Irvine of the past 2 seasons. This is not a great ball club. USC, the offense is just vacated after a huge weekend against Purdue. I still have the same concerns. USC on the road is not great. They're just not great on the road. They have 1 home loss. They've been terrific at home. Unbelievable. Almost, I mean, the only team that's beat them is Oregon State. If you're talking about a top 8 team that beats you at home, oh, well, that happens.
Yeah.
But if every game on the road you're struggling, like this is where my concerns are. If they don't host, if they don't take care of business and beat Oregon at the end of the season and don't get that chance to be a top 6 team, I don't know, man. I like the pitching, but the offense just seems to not show up on the road.
And for me, I don't think they're a top 16 seed. They're 0-8 against quad 1 teams. I mean,
no quad 1 wins.
That is loud. That is very, very loud. And then, like you said, they have a losing record on the road. Yeah, it starts to get a little scary. Like it doesn't matter how good your pitching is. If your hitting can't come through with some hits, it's going to be a long weekend. And so I think they have enough front end pitching if they are on the road in a regional to get them to that final day. But at that point, all bets are off. So yeah,
they might upset somebody just because the pitching's so good. Like I agree with you, Zach. I think maybe they scare somebody and knock somebody off because they might win a game 2-1. The pitching might be that elite, like between Edwards and Govil, like they have such great arms.
Yeah.
But the offense, I don't think can win a regional. That's my big concern right now. Yeah, they showed a little bit against Purdue, but Purdue's arms aren't elite. They're not like Oregon. They're not UCLA. They're not. Even Nebraska has better arms right now, and that's the teams. Like it's like okay, USC struggled, and they got to still play Oregon. Now, if they lose to all 3 of those teams, the 3 top 10 teams in the Big Ten, okay, I think we know what they are. They're not a top 16 team. They're going to be a road team. Yeah. They might give people trouble. I'm not going to say that they won't because the pitching's elite, but they got to figure out something offensively. And right now they don't have it, especially on the road. Troy at Georgia, tough season for Troy, but the Georgia offense gets going still 11-1. I really like this Georgia team. I voted them second in my poll. I'm really high on this Georgia team. I think that they are up there with the best teams in the country. I also said any of the top 6 could be the number 1 team. I'd be fine with that. But I did leave UCLA there. What are your thoughts on this Georgia team? I know people are giving us crap all the time about saying that they should be lower in our rankings, but they're really good and they're deep. And if Aoki's going to go on Sundays for them, now all of a sudden this is a dangerous rotation.
Yeah, the fact that they have Aoki going on Sundays, I think is a really big thing for them just because that bullpen now gets even deeper. And as much as I needed them to kind of show me coming into the season, because everyone's like, oh, they got Volchko, and I was like, okay, they also had 6 ERAs. Like they need to still prove this that they can do it, and they have. I mean, they've won the games that they've been expected to win. So yeah, I think I have them still at number 3 behind UNC. But I mean, I think their remaining 3 schedules is what is it? Missouri, LSU, and then a tough one to finish up with Auburn. Like
Auburn,
they might sweep the next 6 games and absolutely run away with the SEC. And at that point, my guess is they'll be number 2 in the nation and like as an overall seed. Like they're running away right now. So
it feels like it's in front of them to where they could do this. Like if they sweep this weekend and then they take care of business to LSU, who LSU is going to need wins. So that's not going to be necessarily an easy series, but I think Georgia's head and shoulders above that team right now. And then that last season series against Auburn, who also should be a national seed, in my opinion. I really like this Auburn team. I think that they're a national seed with the pitching that they have and the offense is getting going. But yeah, I'm with you. This Georgia team is very good. 2 more tournament teams played each other. Big game in Eugene there yesterday. Oregon takes this one 4-3. Oregon has a new formula on midweeks where they just throw 9 different pitchers. Everybody goes an inning. They throw them out there. They all get an opportunity to pitch. It's working. They're getting enough offense. They had 3 guys out of the lineup also with some minor ding-ups, and Waz was just not going to play those guys and have any risk of hurting them. And they took care of a Gonzaga team that was the hottest team in the country, longest winning streak in the country going in there. I still think both teams are tournament teams. I think Gonzaga is far above the best team in the WCC, and they're going to win that thing.
Yeah.
But the Oregon Ducks, the season's in front of them. The whole season's in front of them. If they can take care of business, they're on the road here at Washington, then they're at UCLA, then they have USC at home. It's the same formula as last year, where all of a sudden they went from ranked 40th in the RPI all the way up into the top 20, and then they got a seed. I see it the same thing. I see the same way that they could do that. If they take a game from UCLA and then they take 2 or 3 from USC, this team really should host. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the non-conference kills them. Predicted wise, they're supposed to be top 20 RPI, but the strength of schedule predicted is supposed to finish in like the top 40. So that's a little bit of concern if they start getting put up against resume wise, in Ole Miss as an example, as a 16 seed. Yep. I think they should advance and be a top 16 seed, but yeah, they're really going to have to show something. If they take 1 of 2 or 1 of 3 against UCLA and then they win the series against USC, I think it is going to be hard to leave them out. But yeah, they got some work in front of them.
Yeah, I think they do those things and then they win a game at the Big Ten. It'd be pretty much a lock. I think that you're going to kind of look at that. But again, the season's in front of them. They still need to win. So it's going on the road at Washington. We already talked about A. Smith and his fight in Huskies. It ain't easy, especially in a rivalry, because that's a huge rivalry between Oregon and Washington on the football side. So I think that it's going to be just as brutal up there this weekend. So looking forward to that one here. ECU at NC State. I think NC State finally heard me saying that they need to come alive and win some games here. ECU had been on fire. NC State wins 12-2. This is what we want to see from NC State. Like, we've seen them beat teams that they should and really get beat up by teams that are just a little bit better than them. They've got to be more consistent. The offense has to get going. I know what they have missing on the pitching side, but they still got to figure out ways to win if they want to be NC State and get into this tournament. Because right now, I have them bubble out.
Yeah, I've got them bubble out as well. I think they have a big opportunity though to prove something this weekend. Cuvier's out for Miami, and so this is pretty pivotal this weekend. If they can win a series, sweep Stanford, they can go into North Carolina, and if they could steal one there, all of a sudden things start looking the right side of the bubble very quickly. So, but I think it was big of them to beat East Carolina again. You got to stack those quad 1 wins. You have to have those resumes where it's like, cool, you did well in conference, but you lose outside of conference. Like, are you really that good of a team? Do you deserve to be in? So,
yeah, big tester this weekend with Miami. We'll talk about that one. Rob Evans is going to pitch on Sunday. So huge for Miami to know that he's going to be able to go for them on Sunday. It was a pretty ugly non-contact injury. Like, oh man, what is this? He's okay. He's okay. It was scary though for a second for all. And then hearing Cuvier go down with the back injury, the fracture in his back, and he might be back at some point. It's just a stretch fracture, but they're sitting him but I don't know if he plays again this season. But that's a big loss. But at least they get Rob Evans, because if they lost both those guys, it would have been really hard to go up against NC State this weekend. Georgia Tech at Kennesaw State. We all know the Kennesaw State offense rakes. We've seen it. They've taken care of business a lot in the midweeks. Georgia Tech continues. They just go win this one 10-7. Massive for Georgia Tech. This Georgia Tech team is skyrocketing. Now, I know that we have them at 5. It's a good team. It's a great team. It's going to be a national host. Like, if they had taken the series from UNC, they might be still at 2 or even close to 1. But I love this Georgia Tech team. They continue to hit. I still have question marks on pitching, but it feels like they're going to be able to hit their way out of any regional.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the hitting is obviously the superstardom of their team. But it feels like if they can get through the Duke back-to-back with Boston College, at worst, they're going to be 3-4. I could see them getting dropped down to like the 5 area just because of the pitching and the concerns there. But yeah, I mean, this is a national seed, no doubt. And they've got the hitting to make a deep run.
Yeah, I think all they have to do is take care of business against Duke, because Boston College is highly rated. So it's like, even if they lost that series somehow at home, I don't think it would kill them. I think they'd still be a national seed. Would they drop down a little bit? Probably, like you said, down to 5. But I really like them. They're going to host. They're going to have it at Atlanta. It's going to be awesome to be another regional there. Oh, yeah. They're really, really good at home too. So it makes a big difference to be able to play at home for these guys. And I think that they're going to take care of business. We saw them almost go on the road last year at Swayze and take care of business, but Murray State was unbeatable. So that was just an impossible one there. So I'm loving it, man. I think that this Georgia Tech team is great. Boston College, the other team we talked about just now, 7-6. They have to win these games I find that they're close. It doesn't matter. They just need to win them. Just win the game. That's all that matters. Go and win these games. You have the NJIT still coming up. And again, they have at Georgia Tech to end the season. They're getting ever closer to being a host team. If they get to 19 wins in conference, like 3 more wins puts them at 19 in ACC. It's going to be hard to say that they're not a top 16, man.
Yeah. Bird ball continues to impress for sure. The pitching staff obviously is really good over there. Their strength of schedule is what really hurts them. Yeah. I think it's what keeps them out
especially
of that hosting
non-conference.
Yeah, their non-conference is just awful, 255. But at the end of the day, you get into a regional and you go do an upset, and we see that all the time. These teams that are the 2 seed that are kind of that borderline, so often they go in with the chip on their shoulder, and they're the ones that come out on the other end. So yeah, excited to see what Bird ball can do at the end of the regional.
And a team that's good on the road. So that's the other thing too for them. Like even if they do get a 2 seed, they're actually good on the road. So I'm not as worried as I am for some teams when they go on the road and struggle. Like this team has 11 road wins. That's good. Like they can go out there and beat it, and that's impressive. And they've done it in conference too, which is hard to do, to win games on the road in the ACC. So I'm looking forward to this Boston College team the rest of the season. Virginia takes care of business against George Mason. We know their woes on offense. We know their woes on pitching side. I like where they're at. I think that the offense is going to get going. I just still have concerns on the pitching side for Virginia. To me, they're no longer a host, and they're kind of on the outside looking into that host conversation, even where they sit in ACC standings.
Yeah, I don't think they host. I think that sweep last weekend really was kind of the death knell of them from that side. And, that I guess they could go make a run in the ACC tournament and kind of pull themselves back in, but I think it'll be really tough just based on the teams that are in front of them and have been winning. So.
Yeah, I think it's tough. I really do. I think that they just, unless they go on, they could win a bunch of games here to end the ACC. I think it's tough. I really do think it's tough here for the road for Virginia. But they'll be tough on the road. They'll be a tough 2 seed. Just scary because you never know what offense you're going to get, and they could come out and score 15 runs, or they could give up 15. I don't know. That's the problem.
And the biggest thing for them is they got to get healthy. Without Grassi and Decker and everyone else.
They're just missing too many guys back. Yeah, it's just, and it's you felt it 2 weeks ago when both those guys were out of the lineup. All of a sudden, there was no thump, there was no extra base hits. This team was just going through the motions. They were getting a few hits, mostly singles. That was the problem. They just weren't able to drive the ball in the gap and get those runs in. High Point at Campbell, 2 tournament teams again. I have both these teams in the tournament right now. High Point loses this one at Campbell 4-5, but good baseball games. I think Campbell has been on a historic run in their conference right now, just winning baseball games, playing very good. High Point has a lot of things going right for them. That series win at Florida, the way that they played baseball this year in conference, I really like High Point. I think that they're one of those teams that could be a scary 3-4, more likely to 4. But they're going to be really difficult for somebody. But I like both these teams.
The crazy thing is they're still tied with Winthrop in their
I know
in their conference, but to your point, they went on the road to Florida and got that series win. And so it's certainly not a team that comes in there as a 4 and you go, oh, cool, we have High Point. And you're like, oh, wait, no, we have High Point. This is bad news bears, because they can really pitch. I mean, they've got some players.
Yeah, they got a great team. I love them. Same with the Liberty Flames, man. They win this one 12-2 over Charlotte. Charlotte, a team that was a really sexy pick early in the season, and they just kind of have struggled really, really bad. Just not the season everybody thought from them. Liberty, on the other hand, is tearing it up, and they have an outside chance of still winning the Conference USA. They still have a chance of beating out those teams. They have a chance of beating Missouri State. They have a chance of beating Jack State. This is a very, very, very good Liberty team that I don't think is getting enough credit. They've taken it to other big teams. They've won tough road games. I like Liberty. They have pitching. They have enough offense. They're going to be another scary tournament team, I think.
Yeah, the Conference USA standings in general are a little crazy, right? You have Jacksonville State. They're 3 games ahead, but they have Liberty. But Jack State has Missouri State. Yeah. And then the 2 teams right below Liberty are playing this weekend as well in DBU and Louisiana Tech. And so it's going to be just a mad finish to the line for Conference USA. And I think this is probably a conference that deserves 3 teams. I think they're only going to get 2. And I think it's going to be Liberty and Jacksonville State. I think Missouri State's the one that gets left out, unfortunately. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting finishing to Conference USA.
Yeah, I said the same thing. I said that sweep against Louisiana Tech last week really crushed Missouri State. Now, if they sweep Jacksonville State, all of a sudden now it's a whole nother conversation. Yeah. It's like they're putting themselves right back in that thing. But if Jacksonville State wins this series, I think it knocks Missouri State out, and I think it keeps Liberty. And I think that you'd be looking at Liberty and Jacksonville State as being the two teams in. But, stranger things have happened. If teams don't get to 13 wins in the SEC, if like a Kentucky or an Oklahoma doesn't get to 13 wins, all of a sudden we might have a different conversation. Like, I think that both those teams probably get there. I'm leaning further out on Kentucky getting there than Oklahoma. But, if more teams don't get there, if ACC teams don't get to 500, that's been historic, saying that if they don't get to 500, they're not going to get those. Big 10 or Big 12 teams. How many Big 10 teams? I think we're only getting 4 Big 10 teams now. I had Purdue on the bubble. I don't think that they're there anymore. I think that they're out. So there's room. There's going to be some room for some at-larges.
This bubble this year, I think, is really, really soft. And I think this year, like last year, you had 13 teams from the SEC make it. I think this year they go the opposite direction. I think you could see a scenario where they only get 11 total.
Yeah.
And personally, I think Liberty does deserve it over Kentucky just based on resume and what they've done. So it'll be really interesting to see how it all comes down.
Yeah, that's what I mean, man. And then the other thing, they always talk about 13 wins. Well, Vanderbilt at 13 wins, the RPI ain't gonna. It's not rising enough. That's not a good enough RPI for me. Like, I think that they have to get to 14 or 15. I said 15 for Vanderbilt because of who they have left. I mean, they still have South Carolina and Missouri left. That's not going to help the RPI at all. Like,
not at all.
There's not any RPI boosts in there at the end of the season, and they're bad in the RPI now. So I think 15 puts them in there, but I really worry about this Vanderbilt team getting in. Today's games, let's see. We had Florida State take care of business against USF. Big win for Florida State to get the offense going 9-1 there. Arkansas beats Northwestern State 5-2. Again, just kind of lackluster victory for them in a midweek. They just didn't really show anything necessarily for me, which is why we still have Arkansas outside the top 25. But they could be a dangerous 2 seed just because if they get going and get right, they have enough talent. We know the talent's there. It's the same as an LSU who's out right now. We know the talent's there, and if that gets right, all of a sudden it's a very scary team. Let me see what else we got going. Any other scores that have been
UTRGV has put up a 5 spot in the top of the third on
Oregon State.
On Oregon State. So that, and again, this is one of those games where you kind of overlook it because it's a Wednesday night game, but this would be a hurtful loss to Oregon State's resume.
Yep, this is exactly what I said. Oregon State has to win these kind of games, and especially at home, because that's a big loss, right? Because then it's a 0.7, and you're getting the loss. It's going to kill the RPI. It's going to really hurt your RPI chances there. USF also losing at home to Stetson right now, which would be an RPI killer for UCF, who's talking like they want to be on the host conversation. They've been playing their way out of it lately. If they lose these kind of games, and UCF just took the lead 6-5. In the bottom of the 8th, they just took the lead 6-5. So scratch that. Now they've taken the lead there. But yeah, I mean, these teams have got to win. I mean, this is win or go home time. That's literally where we're at. TCU also taking care of business. They seem to be getting hot at the right time offensively. This is like the formula of hot, cold, hot.
Yeah.
It feels like TCU is fitting right to that bill right now.
Yeah. Stroh-Snyder has absolutely been crushing the baseball. And then again, with, Lapor's back. And so having a guy that can hit 100 out of the bullpen for now, like that's some serious power. And I do think from a Coastal standpoint, we talked about them earlier, just the fact that Fluke is back, even if it's in a limited, he can only go 3 innings or 4 innings, the name recognition alone is going to power them over another team that, if they're looking side by side.
And what other kind of leverage arm would you want than Cam Fluke right now? If you can get him out of the bullpen, same as a Tommy Lepore, you're all of a sudden we get this guy's a leverage situation arm.
Yeah.
That kind of makes you a little different. Also, makes you a little scarier, especially when you're looking at the committee's eyes going, well, they missed him all season, and now they get him back. How good could this team be? Well, let's talk about Visual Edge, man. They do all sorts of things to make these players better. In college baseball, development is everything. You're facing better arms every single weekend, more velocity, sharper breaking balls, smaller margins for error. And at this level, the difference between starting and sitting can come down to a handful of swing decisions. That's where Visual Edge comes in. Visual Edge is an online vision and cognitive training platform built specifically to measure your pitch tracking, depth perception, reaction time, and visual processing speed. It shows you how you match up against other college athletes your age and your player comps. It also builds a personalized training for you so you can work on your weaknesses and get better. 15 minutes a day is all it takes to get better at this. And it's realistic. You can do it in a dorm room. You can do it in your apartment. You can do it summer ball housing. Anything you need is just bigger than a laptop or a tablet. Anything bigger than a cell phone works perfectly. Lots of MLB players are using this. Aaron Judge, Nico Horner, Tommy Edman, Key Brian Hayes, because seeing the ball earlier changes everything. Right now, listeners of our show can use code CBShow to get first free 3D glasses, free shipping, cancel anytime. Go to visualedge.com/sign up and use code CBShow. That's visual with a Z. 15 minutes a day. Train your eyes, train your brain, earn your edge. Let's talk about this series here coming up this weekend, starting on Thursday. Vanderbilt at Alabama, massive for both teams. This cannot be understated that Alabama needs these wins. I don't think they need them to get in the tournament, but they're still in that talk of being a host team. They need to take care of business. Vanderbilt needs these for RPI. Built up, straight up. They need them for RPI right now.
Yeah. The interesting case of Bama is number 7 in RPI, 2 in strength of schedule, 13 quad 1 wins. But as good or bad of a metric as it is, the committee will look at how you're finishing the season, and Bama's 3-7 in their last 10. Like, that's not good. They're going the wrong direction, even if the stats don't say that. And for me, like, they need to win this weekend, because if they're to lose this weekend, then you go to South Carolina, which South Carolina is capable of stealing a game, and they're going to be playing for their life, right? Yep. And then they finish up with Ole Miss, which is no guarantee the way that Townsend and Elliott are going to pitch. So yeah, this is big, and Vanderbilt's fighting for their life. I mean, they absolutely must have this series, and so this could be one of the more entertaining series, because you hear Corbin say, like, this is a knife fight, and right now, like, everyone's just got to do whatever it takes to win, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
5 quad 1 wins for Vanderbilt. They're 5-13 in quad 1 games, and they're 65th right now in the RPI. They got a big boost this week, bumping up 4 right now. They were 69th. But here's the thing. They have to win this. I feel like they got to take this series, because even if they go, 6-0 against South Carolina and Missouri, which I'm not saying they will, because both those teams are better than they were a season ago. South Carolina is much improved even from where they were 5 weeks ago. And I don't think Vanderbilt has the pitching. Like, they can hit. There's no doubt Vanderbilt can hit. I have no problem saying that. But the pitching has been all over the board for this Vanderbilt team. I think that they need to take 2 out of 3 against this Alabama team to feel more comfortable. Likewise, if Alabama takes 2, they're right in that conversation for host again still. I think it keeps them right there. But otherwise, if they lose 2, these are actually going to be quad 3 losses. Like, because of where Vanderbilt sits right now. Yeah. And so all of a sudden that was going to drop that RPI. It's going to drop down everything. And this Alabama team would be struggling in conference. So they've got to find a way to win. I think Rob Vaughn finds a way to win. And I think that it really dampers Vanderbilt's chances this weekend. But they got to be better on both sides of the ball. Pitching wise has been fine for Alabama. But the thing is, the defense behind them has been bad. And they haven't gotten hits when they need them. And they need to do that. Yeah,
for sure. And it feels like Vanderbilt's trending in the right way, just at the wrong time. I mean, they left it way too late, and so now you kind of wonder, can they make that up? Because if you look at Vandy's non-conference RPI, their non-conference strength of schedule, I mean, it's really poor, and so they're not getting any help, no matter what else happens outside of their own winning or losing too. So.
Yeah, it feels like their best games were the losses in Vegas that they had. Like, that might be the best games that they had in the non-conference. They were losses. So, yeah, it's a tough one there. Louisville at Wake Forest. This is pretty big for both teams. Wake Forest is sitting at 11-13 in conference, and they've been working their way back closer to the top 25. Which, even though they got swept this last weekend in ACC play, they've been working their way back towards the top 25. Whereas Louisville now is 10-11 in conference. Winners of 4 straight in conference play. They haven't really necessarily found it pitching wise, but boy, this offense is really good, and they have the home run leader in the country right now in Tate Davis.
Yeah, Tate has been a superstar. Again, Wake Forest is another weird team. 20 RPI, 7 strength of schedule, but they're 5-14 against quad 1 win or quad 1 teams, and this feels especially after getting swept last weekend. This feels very much like they better come out and get a series win if they want to even continue to trend in the right direction. So, and the crazy thing is, they have Louisville this weekend, but then Wake Forest has Western Carolina, and Western Carolina is no slouch. Like, they're top 40 RPI team or top 60 RPI team. And so, yeah, it feels like they need to have a big weekend just to kind of show the committee, hey, look, not all is lost. We're still who we think we are, and we can make some noise.
Yeah, because here's the thing. If they lose this weekend, all of a sudden you're talking about a team that at best could be 500 in ACC, And we've already seen that the committee seems to shy away from teams that are not over 500 in ACC. They just don't like it. Like, you have to be over 500. 500 is a minimum, it feels like, for an ACC, Big 12, Big 10 team. They're really going to be scary if they don't win this weekend series. They have to win this weekend. So, again, Lavonis going on for Thursday for them, going to be really dangerous, really tough. But I like the direction Louisville's heading. And this was a top 15 team to start the season. So it's not like we don't know that they have talent. They got plenty of talent. It's just whether they can put it all together and figure it out for another couple of weekends. They got 3 weekends left in ACC play. They could get in somehow. It's a team that could play their way in. Honestly, it's in front of them, so they have the opportunity here. Kind of what they did last year when they struggled. They got to 15 and 14. They got in the tournament, and all of a sudden they made a run. Feels a lot like last year's team that made it all the way to Omaha. Now, I'm not saying they have the pitching like they did last year, but the offense is going again, and I think that they're a scary team, at least for what Wake Forest needs this weekend.
Yeah.
Utah BYU is really interesting because it's an in-state rivalry, but also at the same time, BYU has played their way close to being in. Like, they're on the bubble out, but they're winning conference games. I mean, if they do like a sweep this weekend, we might have to have a conversation about this BYU team. They're sitting right now in conference at 11 and 10. They have a winning record in conference.
They do, but their RPI is they're 1 game above 500 overall, and their RPI is down to 67. I find it very hard unless they sweep out the rest of the season, including getting some big wins at Kansas. It feels like this just a bridge too far. But BYU is playing good right now, and so you never know what's going to happen at the end of the season with conference play. So
we've seen the minimum is basically 55 to 60 range for getting in. They're just on the outside of that right now. So if somehow they were to win the series against Kansas and they sweep this weekend, you're talking about a team that would have 16 wins in conference at a minimum, and they'd be probably in that top 60 in RPI at that point because Kansas is so high. I don't know, man. It's very close. Do I think that they get in? No, I don't think that I don't have them in my most recent. But I think it's interesting to think that a team that everybody had pretty much picked dead last in this conference has been 11 and 10 and being taking care of business. And if they win this weekend against their in-state rival, they're going to feel really good about themselves. And if they sweep, all of a sudden they're at 14 conference wins. So I just wanted to tip the cap to the BYU Cougars. I mean, they just continue to find ways to win.
They've had a great season.
They've beaten they've beaten really good teams, and it doesn't seem like it matters who plays in front of them. They're really good at home. They're really good at Miller Park, so they're tough to beat at home. So that's the end all be all for them. But we'll see what happens here this weekend. I'm excited for it. Let's talk about the Friday games, Zach, because this one here, starting off, Auburn at Texas A&M. This is more than a super regional field. This is an Omaha matchup when you look at this on paper. I love this one. I think it's the pitching of Auburn versus what Texas A&M can do offensively. Now, Texas A&M pitching has been really good. We saw it against Florida last weekend where they took care of business. They're at home this weekend against Auburn. I like both these teams a lot. I have both picked for Omaha right now. But I think that this matchup is outstanding. I want to see more from Auburn offense. But boy, Jordan Wilson has just made even more of a lineup for A&M.
Yeah, no, I mean, A&M has an elite lineup for sure. They hit the ball all over the park, and kind of what we expected a couple weeks ago. Like, you have elite level hitting versus elite pitching. Auburn leads the SEC in the ERA and a bunch of other categories, and so to me, it's all about whether Auburn has enough hitting to win the series. But weather's going to be a factor in Central Texas this weekend. I know other games are already looking at being moved around. And so what does a doubleheader look like for this? How does that impact maybe the A&M bullpen because they are so short? But yeah, this should be one hell of a weekend. And really 2 of the best teams that are playing really good baseball at the right time as well.
Yeah, I don't see either team sweeping here, but I think it's going to be really good baseball. I mean, what you're getting from these pitchers and this offense, I think that it leans towards Auburn because of the weather, and just because they've been pitching really, really good. I mean, Alvarez, Marciano, and then you get Sanders coming in some pressure situation at some point with either one of those guys. Yeah, really, really good. It's a tough pitching staff. And if the offense for Auburn gets going, I mean, we know what they have offensively. They just haven't shown it this year 100%. But I like Auburn. I picked Auburn, but I think it's going to be a tremendous series. Pitt at Florida State. Now, people are going to laugh that I have this one highlighted number 2. You shouldn't be laughing because this Pitt team can hit. They are really, really, really close to being in this tournament. They are really close to playing their way into this tournament. whereas Florida State is going the wrong direction. The offense has been lacking in conference play. The pitching looks like it's tired. It looks like Beard, like he feels like he's a little bit tired. Moore seems like he's having that little bit of freshman drop off that we saw last year from Wes Mendez. Like, I really have big concerns for Florida State. And that was my pick for national champion before Miles Bailey got hurt. I had them picked as the national champs. I'm really concerned that this offense is not enough right now for Florida State.
Yeah, the team looks just tired and worn out. Injuries have certainly taken their toll. If this weren't at home, that would worry me. I mean, they're a 500 team on the road, right? And so the fact that it's at Dick Hauser, I think they do take the series. But Pitt, we saw what they did last weekend. I mean, they can hit the ball all over the park.
And they're 10-6 on the road. They play good road ball.
They do. But this feels like a series, kind of a get right for Florida State, because you're right. They have been trending the wrong way. They're quad one. They're 5-9 in quad one wins. So they need to get some games under their belt that are, of this caliber.
Yeah. And Pitt really kind of needs this one. Like, if they can figure it out, if they can go 2-1 down there, all of a sudden they're at 500 in conference. It gives them kind of a chance and gives them hope. Their schedule is brutal in front of them. Now, I love this Pitt team, but their schedule is brutal in front of them. I don't think they get in just because of how hard it is in front of them. I don't think they get enough wins, but I do think that they could scare this Florida State team. I think Florida State gets right, though. I think they take the series at home. I think you're very much correct there. Mississippi State at Texas. What a freaking matchup, man. It feels like every week here, the last 3 weeks of the season, we're going to have some just barn burners and some terrific baseball. Mississippi State trending in the right direction, trying to play its way into a national seed. Texas holding on to a national seed right now. I'm very excited for this one. I don't really know which direction to feel on this one, but I think that they're both really good. I think that they both will be hosts for sure. I don't know which one of them or both of them gets a national seed, though, Zach.
Yeah, it's tough. I think Texas has a better shot at the national seed just based on who they have on schedule-wise, right? Like, when you look at their schedule, they've got, obviously, Mississippi State at home. They go on the road to Tennessee, which was going to be tough in Knoxville. But then they finish up with Missouri at home. So I think they have enough wins there to keep them as a national host. Mississippi State, though, on the other hand, their schedule is brutal to finish up because they have Texas, Auburn at home, and then they go to A&M. Like, I just don't know if they're good enough as a collective to keep that national host. Don't get me wrong, Mississippi State's a very good team. I'm almost leaning towards picking them this weekend just because of what I've seen out of Texas recently. But Tomas versus Dillon should be a lot of fun on Friday night, assuming weather doesn't, again, move it back. It doesn't look great. But it just feels like Mississippi State they're a solid club, but they don't always play like an elite club. It feels like they really struggled this past weekend, even though they had to put away and got the sweep against LSU. It was like, they have to fight for every inch, but then Texas has had to fight for every inch the last couple of weeks. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Texas hitting can get back to what it was. I think Texas has a good chance. So
this Mississippi State team feels very much like a 2016 Virginia team that Brian O'Connor had, like where it's like, they're really good and they win games, but it doesn't ever feel like they're that much better than everybody. And then all of a sudden they win a national championship. Like, you turn up, you're like, oh, here they are. They won a national title. Yeah. That's what this team feels like. Cause like, it feels like every single night they could go out there and beat somebody, or they could get 10 run and not look good at all at baseball. They could go out there and just look horrible. Yeah. But I think that they're a very good baseball team. I think I did take Mississippi State winning this series. I'd have to go back and look at my notes for my pick 'em, but yeah, I think that it's a great series. I do lean towards Texas being the national seed over Mississippi State just because that schedule, like you said. I think that Texas gets there because, one, I think Texas can get to 18 wins, 17 wins, and it puts them in that conversation. Whereas I think it's going to be a lot tougher for Mississippi State with their schedule upcoming.
For sure.
Let's talk about Arizona State at UCF. We already talked about UCF coming back, and I don't know if they ended up winning that game. I haven't checked the score yet, but big job there for UCF. They have to win this weekend against Arizona State. Likewise, Arizona State playing for their tournament seeding life, trying to figure out a way to get in here. I love this series. I took Arizona State on the road, but I really think that both these teams are really, really good. I think they're both tournament quality teams. They both might be 2 seeds, though, Zach.
Yeah, it feels like Arizona State might have that kind of leg up on UCF from a overall resume and just kind of the perception of the team. But I really do like what UCF has done. And I mean, if they get put as a 2 seed anywhere, that's a really tough 2 seed for sure. But, if they're able to win this weekend, then they get Baylor, and it feels like okay, yeah, they could probably put it together and really make a run at it. And then I think they finished with Kansas State.
Yep.
So they have it in front of them that they could finish up. And then Arizona State, on the other hand, they can't look past Oklahoma State next weekend. And so they have to keep everything just right in front of them because they're right there on that verge of could they be and should they be a host? And if they want to get there, which feels still like a long shot, but if they want to get there, it's, now's the time.
Yeah, they're 3 games behind Kansas. I mean, it feels like the season's still in front of them. I highlighted this one at the preseason. I said this is going to be a massive weekend traveling to UCF because, one, long coast travel. Like you're going from the West Coast all the way to the East Coast playing this game in Orlando. 2, both these teams are very good. So all of a sudden you're like, hey, where are we at? Where are we gauging ourselves? How is this team? Like Arizona State, good on the road. They've been good on the road. So that's another thing to look at. Whereas UCF hasn't necessarily dominated at home like other teams do in this conference. Yeah. I think it's going to be a great weekend series. I think that the big difference is can anybody else other than Harrison step up like they did last weekend? They stepped up. Can anybody else do it again? Can Nuke step up? Can they get something from any other of these role players? And then all of a sudden this Arizona State team's tough because Garland seems to be going again 100 miles an hour this last weekend. Yeah, I like where he's at. What can they get pitching wise? What can they do? I like Arizona State, but I do think that both these teams are very good. And I think UCF is a very dangerous team come tournament time because they play good small ball. They're very fundamentally good. Like Rich Wallace has this team going the right direction. And I think that their pitching is just a little bit better than what Arizona State is as a full staff right now.
Yeah.
Florida at Oklahoma. Kind of an interesting matchup here because I don't know what Florida team I'm going to get because if I get the one that's, where we're getting Aiden King on Fridays, and that's what they're going to play like the rest of the weekend. Awesome. If it's what we saw the last 2 games against Texas A&M, which wasn't bad, but the offense was gone. It was just non-existent. And it's been the big worry all season. Are they going to be non-existent? Well, now they're facing a really good starting pitching rotation of Oklahoma. I have big concerns, but Oklahoma at the same time needs these wins. They need to start winning some of these games because they got a really tough schedule to finish out.
Yeah, Florida might be the biggest enigma in all of college baseball. 13 quad one wins.
I've called them that all season.
But they're 3-7 in their last 10, and it feels like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get with Florida because if the pitching is on, the hitting is gone, and when the hitting's on, the pitching is gone. There's no consistency at all. And then, with Oklahoma, again with the consistency, they have the arms that are really good. Do they have the arms all good on the same weekend though? Yeah. And so that's certainly a concern. I think the big thing for me is I don't know if Oklahoma's offense is good enough against the Florida pitching. I just don't know that. Not from what I've seen, but again, Florida, I could see this being like a 3-4 ball game, 3 out of 4 ball games just because no one can hit the ball. So yeah, it's going to be.
These might be 3 really fast ball games. They might go by really quickly. I think that the big thing for me is what Cam Johnson are you going to get? Are you going to get the one that's been elite this year? Or are you going to get the guy that can't even get out of the first inning and walks everybody? Because if you give Florida walks, they're going to beat you because they don't necessarily get the hits, but they will get them when they need them, and they'll get those small hits when they can. If you give them free bases, they're much more dangerous. If you make them battle for every at-bat, this Florida team doesn't have it. They do not have it. We've seen that consistently where Texas A&M made them earn every single at-bat. They only walked them 4 times all weekend, and that was the difference. They beat them up. Can Oklahoma do that? That's the biggest thing. Oklahoma pitching needs to throw strikes. That's I mean, between Mercurius between both Mercuriuses and Cam Johnson, throw strikes and you have a chance. Like that's what you have to do. Full stop. Yeah, like you said, like this is a big one here for Oklahoma this weekend at home, and big for Florida also on the road. But I think that both one of these teams could play their way into hosting. I don't think both get in, so I think that this weekend kind of does a lot. But they're at 16 and 18 in the RPI. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that it's in front of both of these teams, but I think that it's big for this weekend. I think Florida has a better chance of getting there than Oklahoma. Oklahoma's still kind of living off that early season resume, whereas if they lose this weekend, all of a sudden they're sub 500 in SEC play. I don't know. I could see it going either direction, but I like Florida this weekend. I think that they go in there and beat Oklahoma. I think that they're starting to figure things out, what they're going to find some offense.
Same. Yeah.
Jack State at Missouri State. We already talked about this. Power on power. Like Jack State has to show, I mean, all the fans, everybody saying, hey, this team should be nationally ranked. They should be nationally ranked. Show it. This is the weekend right now on the road at Missouri State, a team that can hit the cover off the ball. And it just came off like they're going to be wounded. They're going to be back against the corner. They need to win this game. If you want to be a national team, if you want to be one of these teams that says that you should be fighting for a host, if you should be top 25, Jacksonville State need to win on the road at Missouri State. I'm very excited for this one. I do think that Jacksonville State does win this. I feel like Missouri State just kind of fell apart pitching-wise this last weekend, and I don't see that they have enough. But they could hit with anybody in the country.
They're 17-1 at home, so they have a chance being at home. But yeah, I mean, Missouri State's lost 5 in a row, and then Jacksonville State comes in, and that's tough because Jacksonville State, I think, is very, very good, and I think they have an opportunity to really solidify themselves as the team in the conference, even more so than they already have right now with that 3-game lead. So,
absolutely. Boston College at Clemson. Real quick here on this one, Boston College, if they win this series, all of a sudden they're at 18 wins in the ACC. It's going to be hard to say that they're not a national seed. It's going to be really close, though. I mean, they have that Georgia Tech series in the finish, but they're at 16-8 right now in conference. If they win the series at Clemson, I think that they're a host. I mean, I put them in. That's where I have them, Zach.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a big weekend for Boston College. Bird Ball has got an opportunity.
Yep. We talked about Miami and NC State. Huge for both these teams. I mean, honestly, they both need it. Miami kind of seems to be trending in the right direction, but no Daniel Cuvée. They do get Rob Evans back, of course, which is going to be huge for them. This team was one of the hottest teams in the country until last weekend, but I still think that they're good. I think they still keep winning weekend series in ACC play, which is the biggest difference. Whereas you look at this team from NC State and they kind of find ways to lose. They got to find ways to win down the stretch here. This is what it comes down to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kansas State at West Virginia, massive. This can't be understated. This is the end of the season for Kansas State if they lose. Like, they have to go win this series. Like, whether it's that 2 games, fine. If they take 2, they're still in this thing. But if they get swept or they lose this series, all of a sudden it's game over for Kansas State. And West Virginia, they're on the outside of the hosting conversation if they don't win this weekend. Like, they have to win this weekend, more than likely sweep, even for me to put them back in the hosting conversation. They're a 2 seed right now, but they're not playing very good baseball right now.
Well, they're not playing good baseball right now. And if you look at their schedule, it's Kansas State at Kansas and then TCU. Like, they've got a brutal finish, especially if you look at where TCU's going to project out to be in a couple of weeks with Lepore even further healthy. Like, they have to have a series win, if not a sweep this weekend. Like, it is very pivotal.
Yep, they got to take care of business this weekend. Tennessee at Kentucky. This feels like the tale of 2 different teams going the complete opposite direction. Tennessee is skyrocketing. They are playing really good baseball. They have one of the most elite staffs in the country. Cam Eppenzeller, welcome to D1 baseball. You are a freaking stud, going for Friday for them now. And Tegan Coons, and like, they got all these arms. Mac, this is a very, very good baseball team. I think that they go in and I think they beat up Kentucky. I don't see any way that Kentucky keeps them off the scoreboard right now.
Yeah, the Tennessee hitting is just very, very good right now. I mean, they're on fire. Trent Gillinger and is going crazy. Appenzeller looks like he's going to move into the rotation potentially.
Yep.
And Bo Rudy, if you've looked at the metrics on that guy, like, he's like up and to the right of every single metric for his fastball. So yeah, I really like where they're headed, and I think this is kind of the nail in the coffin for Kentucky this weekend. It not looking good for their postseason chances.
Yeah, it's so funny because they're literally 1 game behind Tennessee only. Like, that's how, I mean, they're 9-12. Yeah. But I think Kentucky is just trending the wrong direction. They can't find anything outside of Jackson Jelkin. They can't get any pitching right now. They're not getting any pitching. No. They're not getting any offense consistently. This team just kind of feels lost at the plate. Like, it's really been a tough season for Kentucky. And again, if the magic number is 13 for Kentucky, they got to find 4 wins. They got to do it this weekend. Man, I just think it's really tough. I mean, after dropping the series against Missouri in South Carolina, like, I'm really struggling to find where this Kentucky team deserves to be in the tournament. I've said the same thing on the Monday show. Now, they could surprise me if they sweep Kentucky or Tennessee. Then it's a whole nother conversation. We have a different conversation come Monday, but I don't see it happening. I like Tennessee on the road here this weekend. Let's get to some more of these SEC games. Arizona, Kansas. We know that's a big one. It would have been bigger had Kansas been full strength, or Arizona been full strength. Kansas takes care of business, I think, easily this weekend. They stay on top of the Big 12. Ole Miss at Arkansas. Big weekend here. What are we going to see from Arkansas? Are they going to be that team that's in the top 25? Or are they going to be this 2 seed, borderline 3 seed versus Ole Miss playing their way to still be a possible host?
Yeah, Ole Miss certainly still has a chance to host, and then Arkansas is playing good ball at the right time. But again, concerned around their lineup going up against Elliott and Townsend and the rest of the Ole Miss. So I think Ole Miss, though, really needs a bounce back weekend. They've dropped a couple that they probably should have had at least one or two of them. And so, yeah, they've got to play themselves into a series win this weekend.
They just as easily could have been swept last weekend too by Georgia. Like it was literally a couple outs away from being swept in that one too. So I think that they have to have a bounce back. Same for the Arkansas fans though. They need to see a win. Like if they can win at home, winning at home is a big thing in the SEC. And at Friday night, I think it's a lot bigger thing for these folks. But Ole Miss on the road, Hunter Elliott's tough to beat on Fridays. I like Ole Miss here. And I just think that they're playing better baseball overall. I think Arkansas still kind of lost. And they strike out too much. South Alabama, Texas State. Both these teams feel like they're on the outside looking in. If one of them sweeps, I'll feel a little bit better about that team, but I think that they're going to have to do something in the conference tournament. I don't think either one get in. I think Sunbelt only gets 2 teams, but big for both these teams. I think Texas State is a year away from being really good. I know it's weird to say in the portal era that we're in, but I think that next year, Texas State, if they keep everybody, is really good. I already picked them to win the Pac-12 next year. Wichita State at UTSA. This is a big matchup. This is huge for their conference. I think that both these teams are good. I think that UTSA would, if they sweep, all of a sudden they feel really good about their chances of getting in the tournament completely, no matter whether they win the conference or not. If they don't win this weekend, all of a sudden they're saying that they have to do some noise late. Like they might not be in first or second or third if they don't sweep this week, or if they don't win 2 of 3 this weekend.
Yeah, this is a big weekend for UTSA because they want to be that top tier 2 seed still, win the conference championship, and they need to come through. I mean, we've seen that they have had their struggles at times. They've had injury problems. Johnson's out for the year. They've lost their pitcher. So yeah, they need a big weekend this weekend to kind of prove to them, hey, we're still here. We're still the top team in the conference.
Wichita State sits 4th in the conference. It can hit with anybody in the conference. So that's where it comes in. It's like, we know that UTSA has pitching problems. Is Wichita State going to take advantage of that on the road where they could still play their way to winning this conference? I like this conference a lot.
The American's been a lot of fun.
It's been the most fun conference. It like top to bottom 2 weeks ago, it was separated by 2 games. That's how good it's been. Yeah. I love it. I think it's one of the most fun. Everybody's still in it at this point. TCU at Oklahoma State. This one's not understated either. Oklahoma State is playing their way back into tournament contention. They are bubbled in for me right now. I have them in. TCU has also played their way back into where they're doing that hot, cold, hot thing. On the road here, I think the winner of this series feels really good about their tournament chances and being in, whereas the loser has some tough work ahead of them for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, TCU, I think it's most vital for them that they win it with an RPI of 40 and a strength of schedule of 60, regardless of their quad 1 wins and their conference wins. Like they still need to continue to stack series wins every single weekend in order to really solidify the fact that they're going to be in. And I can tell you right now, no one wants to see TCU end up in their regional because that's not going to be fun for you on that day too.
No, especially if they get hot. Like, and we said, we're already getting Tommy Lepore back. So yeah, this is a big one here. I can't wait for this weekend. I think that this is going to be a slugfest. I think we're going to see a lot of runs here. We already know that O'Brate Stadium is a bounce house and everything flies out of there, as we saw in the Kansas series. But I think that if you're TCU, you have to go in here and win. If you're Oklahoma State, a series winning like this at home all of a sudden puts you in a very good feeling that you're going to be a 2 or 3 seed in the tournament no matter what. South Carolina at LSU. I don't think we ever thought that we'd say this: 14th versus 15th, and it's South Carolina's in 14th and LSU's in 15th. This is do or die time for LSU. I know that I've pretty much written off LSU at this point, but I wanted to mention this because if somehow South Carolina takes this series, LSU is going to be in 15th place in the SEC.
Well, I think for me, the thing is, if South Carolina takes the series, suddenly LSU is looking at Georgia and Florida. LSU might have a losing season. Reigning national champions end up with a losing season. Like, that's very much on the table if they lose to the series to South Carolina this weekend.
I said it at the beginning of the year. No team since 2017 Florida has made it back to Omaha after winning a national championship. It's really, really hard to do, and they're definitely going through it. I mean, this team's even struggling more than the 2024 team did. Like, this team really is having its struggles. They don't know their identity. It's at the box. Like, they're going to need that crowd to come through for them. South Carolina's playing better ball. I like LSU to win this weekend, but again, their next 2 series don't line up for them to be very good. Now, it's LSU. They got plenty of talent. All of a sudden, you could see them winning 7 of the next 9 games, and all of a sudden, you have to have different conversations. But I have them out, and it's going to be interesting to see here.
Yeah, and especially with Case and Evans being healthy but not pitching, like, is he at all back in this weekend? Yeah.
So many question marks.
So many question marks.
So many. Just so many question marks. And then the last one, Oregon at Washington. We talked about this one. Eddie Smith doesn't make it easy on anybody in the Big Ten. Mark Wasikowski and the Oregon Ducks have been finding ways to win. They've been looking really good lately, and the whole season's in front of them. This could be a trap weekend, though, where they're looking ahead to that UCLA series and then USC to finish it.
Yeah.
I think that they come ready to play, but it's going to be big for these teams up in Seattle with the rivalry weekend. What series are you most excited for this weekend? I mean, we got so many good ones, but I'll let you go here. And then we'll end up this show.
I mean, it's easy to say Texas versus Mississippi State just because I'll be there in person as usual.
That's rad.
but honestly, the Auburn versus A&M series, I'm going to have an extra monitor. I think that could be a series that you just see some fireworks on both sides of the ball, right? Like, you're going to see 450-foot home runs, and you're going to see strikeouts and just elite pitching. So it'll be a lot of fun to see the action down in College Station.
Yeah, I think they're two of the most important, but I also think that all four of those teams are in. So for me, like, if I'm looking at what am I want to see for bubble teams, that Pitt at Florida State, I'm very excited for that one to see what kind of Florida State team we get and whether they deserve to be a host team still. And then also that Boston College at Clemson. I don't think I ever would have said that at the beginning of the year that I'd be paying attention to this at this point in the season. Boston College at Clemson is huge. Like, if Boston College takes this series, I put them into host no matter what they do in the last weekend series against Georgia Tech. But I love it. I think that's why we watch college baseball. Anything else you want to say to the fans here before we sign off on this wonderful Wednesday?
No, I think this is one of those weekends where there may not be a ton of top tier matchups from a ranking standpoint, but I think this might be, again, one of the best matchups from a diverse team that we've had in a couple of weeks now. And I'm really excited about the depth of this weekend. There's going to be a lot of baseball watching as usual, but even more so.
It's like do or die time for some of these teams. That's really, I mean, Vanderbilt at Alabama, like, these are do or die times for some of these teams. Pitt at Florida State, do or die time. They got to win some of these games. So I am very, very excited for this one. Can't wait. Thanks so much for joining us. For Zach and myself, we'll see you guys again next Wednesday. We'll be here to preview the second to last week of the regular season. Can't wait, guys.